The morning mist clung to the cobblestones of Hartwell Lane as Sarah Ashwell loaded the last arrangement into her delivery cart. Pale pink peonies and trailing ivy, destined for Ashworth Hall, the grandest estate in 3 counties. She had been making this weekly delivery for 2 years now, ever since her father's illness had forced her to take over the family flower shop. At 24, Seren had become invisible in the way that working people often did to the wealthy. She moved through servant entrances, spoke only when addressed, and kept her eyes appropriately lowered. It was safer that way. The aristocracy did not notice flower girls any more than they noticed the wallpaper. The cartwheels rattled over uneven stones as she guided her old mare, Bess, toward the estate. Her younger brother, Felix, needed new shoes. Her sister, Miriam, had outgrown her only winter coat. And her father's medicine grew more expensive with each passing month. The coins she earned from these deliveries meant the difference between eating and going hungry. Ashworth Hall rose before her like something from a fairy tale. Honey-colored stone glowed golden in the early light, windows stretching upward in elegant symmetry. It was beautiful and terrible, and completely beyond her reach. She guided Bess around to the servant entrance and followed a footman through narrow corridors designed to keep people like her hidden from aristocratic eyes. The main hallway appeared briefly through an open door. Seren caught a glimpse of marble floors and gilded frames, heard the distant tinkling of feminine laughter from deeper within the house. She was directed to leave the flowers in the morning room, a space of pale blue silk and delicate furniture that probably cost more than her entire shop. Seren arranged the peonies with practiced hands, taking pride in her work, even if no one would ever know it was hers. Footsteps approached, not the soft shuffle of servants, but the confident click of expensive heels on polished floors. Seren froze, her hands still buried in foliage. "That one," a voice declared from the doorway. Crisp, aristocratic, accustomed to absolute authority. "The girl with the flowers. Who is she?" Serene's heart stuttered. She did not turn around. "Just the florist's daughter, Your Grace," another voice answered. "The housekeeper, Mrs. Pemberton. She delivers weekly. Quite reliable." Reliable. The first voice drew closer. "How old is she?" 23? 24, perhaps? "Turn around, girl." Seren turned slowly. Before her stood a woman of perhaps 60 years, dressed in dove-gray silk that whispered of immense wealth. Silver hair swept upward in an elaborate arrangement, and diamonds sparkled at her throat. But it was her eyes that commanded attention, sharp, calculating, and currently fixed upon Seren with unnerving intensity. The Dowager Duchess of Ashworth. "Your hands," the Duchess said abruptly. "Show them to me." Seren extended her hands, confused and alarmed. They were work-roughened, with dirt beneath the nails. Strong hands. "Good." The Duchess circled her slowly. "And your face. Passably pretty. Striking bone structure. What is your name?" "Seren Ashwell, Your Grace." "Seren? Welsh. It means star." She clasped her hands before her. "Tell me, Seren Ashwell, is your family in need of money?" The question was shockingly direct. Seren could only stare. "Don't look scandalized. I have eyes. Your dress has been mended at least 4 times. Those boots should have been replaced a year ago. And unless I'm mistaken, you've been stretching these flower deliveries because they're one of your few reliable income sources." The Duchess smiled without warmth. "I'm not mocking you. I'm establishing facts. My family's circumstances are none of your concern, Your Grace. They are about to become very much my concern." The Duchess gestured toward a settee. "Sit down. I have a proposition for you that will sound utterly insane. I should return to my cart. Your father will worry considerably less when you return home with enough money to pay for 3 months of his medicine." Seren froze. "How do you know about my father's illness?" I make it my business to know everything about everyone who enters my household." The Duchess sat gracefully. "Now sit, and listen carefully." Against every instinct, Seren sat. "I have a son," the Duchess began. "Hadrian Vance, Duke of Ashworth, 34 years old, wealthy beyond measure, and possessed of absolutely no interest in taking a wife. He has rebuffed every eligible lady I have presented for the past decade." She paused. "But I am more impossible than he is, and I have recently informed all of London society that he is engaged to be married." Seren blinked. "Congratulations? Don't be obtuse. The engagement is a fiction. I invented it to silence a venomous gossip who suggested my son might prefer unconventional companionship. The problem is that I now need an actual fiancé to present, and I believe you would be perfect. You want me, a flower shop girl, to pretend to be engaged to a duke." "Precisely. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard." "Perhaps. But it is also your family's salvation." The Duchess leaned forward. "I am prepared to be exceedingly generous, enough to pay your father's medical expenses for the next year, enough to repair your shop and expand your business, enough to ensure your brother and sister want for nothing." Seren's heart pounded. "And in exchange, 3 months. You live here as my son's fiancé, attend social functions at his side, and convince London society that you are desperately in love. After that, the engagement ends quietly, and you walk away with more money than you would earn in 10 years. Your son agreed to this?" The Duchess's smile turned sharp. "My son doesn't know yet. He returns this afternoon." "You haven't told him?" "I find it's better to present Hadrian with accomplished facts rather than proposals." Seren stood abruptly. "This is madness. I'm a commoner. No one would believe a duke would choose me." "That's where you're wrong. You're beautiful in an unusual way, intelligent, and you have something those simpering debutantes lack entirely." She paused. "Spine. I watched you refusing to cower, speaking to me as an equal. My son needs someone who will challenge him, not worship him. Your son needs an appropriate wife of his own choosing. I'll give you 1 hour to consider. 1 hour to think about your father's medicine, your brother's worn shoes, your sister's threadbare coat." The Duchess moved toward the door. 1 hour to decide whether your pride is worth more than your family's survival." She departed, leaving Seren wondering how her simple delivery had transformed into the most consequential decision of her life. Seren did not have an hour. 40 minutes later, a commotion erupted in the main hallway. Voices raised in greeting, the clatter of boots on marble, and then the Duchess's voice carrying with theatrical clarity. "Hadrian, darling, you're home early. Come, there's someone you must meet. Your fiancé has been waiting so patiently." Seren's blood turned to ice. Before she could flee, the Duchess swept into the morning room with a tall figure in her wake. Behind them stood at least 6 servants and 3 visiting ladies of obvious aristocratic bearing. An audience. The Duchess had arranged an audience. "May I present Miss Seren Ashwell," the Duchess announced, "Hadrian's intended bride. The wedding will be in 3 months at St. George's." The man before Seren was nothing like she had expected. Hadrian Vance was tall and lean, with dark hair slightly disheveled from travel. His features were sharp, aristocratic, and undeniably handsome. But his eyes, a deep gray like winter slate, held an expression of absolute fury barely contained. Those eyes fixed upon Seren. "Miss Ashwell," he said, his voice dangerously soft. "What an unexpected pleasure." "Your Grace, I apologize. This isn't what you think." "Indeed? Because I think my mother has ambushed me with a fabricated engagement to a woman I have never met." "Hadrian," the Duchess interjected, You're embarrassing your bride. Simply greet her properly. Everyone is watching." The Duke stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I don't know what my mother promised you, but I refuse to play this game." "Then denounce me," Seren whispered back. "Tell everyone it's a lie. I'll leave and never return." Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, perhaps. "That would destroy your reputation." "I'm a flower shop girl. My reputation will survive aristocratic gossip." He studied her for a long moment. "You're not what I expected." "You expected a fortune hunter?" "Yes." "Sorry to disappoint. I was delivering flowers when your mother cornered me. Whatever anger you're feeling, aim it at her." The Duchess appeared at Hadrian's elbow. "The Harrington sisters are desperate to offer congratulations. Do bring your fiancé to greet them." Seren found herself propelled into the hallway, into a circle of curious aristocratic faces. Among them, she noticed a striking blonde woman watching with barely concealed hostility. Lady Forsyth, she would later learn. A woman scorned by Hadrian last season, whose cold smile promised trouble. When the visitors finally departed, the Duchess turned to Seren with satisfaction. "That went splendidly. Now, let us discuss terms." "There are no terms." Hadrian's voice cut through the air. "She's leaving. This ends now." "If she leaves," the Duchess said calmly, "the Harrington sisters will reach London by nightfall. By tomorrow, every drawing room will know that the Duke of Ashworth dismissed his common-born fiancée in a fit of snobbery. How will that affect your reform legislation?" Hadrian went very still. "You wouldn't." "I would, unless you both agree to maintain this arrangement for 3 months. Seren looked between mother and son. "I need to go home. My father will worry." "Of course, dear." The Duchess rang for a servant. "Send a message to her family that she'll be delayed. Include payment for the flowers and a generous advance." "I haven't agreed to anything," Seren protested. "Not yet. But you will. Because you're practical, and you understand that sometimes we must make uncomfortable choices for the people we love." Hadrian moved to the window. "If we do this, there will be conditions. She moves into the East Wing, properly chaperoned. Terms in writing. And you, Mother, cease all interference. Agreed." "I haven't agreed," Seren repeated forcefully. Both Vances turned to look at her. "I came to deliver flowers. I don't know anything about aristocratic society or pretending to be someone I'm not." "Then learn," Hadrian said bluntly. "You have precisely the same choice I do. Play along, or face consequences neither of us will enjoy. Fine, 3 months, payment in thirds, and when this ends, I walk away with no obligation to your family ever again." "Agreed." "Then we have an understanding." Seren moved toward the door. "I'll return tomorrow at 10. Don't be late. I'm never late." She paused at the threshold. "But for the record, I think you're both absolutely mad." She left before either could respond, making her way to where Bess waited patiently. Only when Ashworth Hall had disappeared behind the trees did Seren allow herself to breathe. Tomorrow, she would begin pretending to love a man who clearly despised her. God help her, she was actually going to do this. The following morning, Seren stood before Ashworth Hall in her only good dress, a faded blue muslin. She was shown to the study, where Hadrian waited behind an enormous desk, looking every inch the aristocrat. He did not rise when she entered. "Miss Ashwell, you're punctual." "I told you I would be." He pushed a document across the desk. "Terms." Read carefully before signing. She scanned the elegant handwriting. Payment schedule, living arrangements, expected attendance at social functions. "There's nothing here about what happens if you end this early." "I won't. But if you do," his jaw tightened, "then you receive full payment regardless. I don't break contracts." "And if I end it early?" "Do you intend to?" No, but I've learned to prepare for every possibility. People rarely keep their promises. Something shifted in those gray eyes. Recognition, perhaps. Add a clause. Either party may terminate with 1 week's notice, full payment guaranteed. That satisfies me. He made a notation and initialed it. Now, practical matters. You'll need an entirely new wardrobe. I'm aware my clothes are inadequate. I'm not criticizing. I'm solving a problem. His tone remained professional. A modiste will visit this afternoon. Consider it theatrical costuming. The comparison stung. Is that how you see this? Theater? How else? We're performing for an audience. He stood. Now, I'll show you to your rooms. We should discuss how we supposedly met and fell in love. The East Wing suite stole Seren's breath. Cream and sage green. Tall windows overlooking a private garden. A bedroom with a 4-poster bed draped in embroidered silk. These were my grandmother's rooms, Hadrian said from the doorway. They're yours for the duration. They're beautiful. A duke's fiancée doesn't fetch her own tea. Learn to inhabit the role completely. Seren, he blinked. Pardon? If we're engaged, you should use my given name, at least in private. A pause stretched between them. Seren, then, and you may call me Hadrian when we're alone. Hadrian. She tested the name. A muscle twitched in his jaw. Dinner at 7. We'll rehearse our courtship story. He turned to leave. Try to think of plausible details, the things lovers would know about each other. What drew me to you? Serene repeated flatly. Besides your charming personality? His lips twitched, almost a smile. I'm told I have excellent taste in horseflesh. Perhaps that could be your fictional attraction. I'll consider my options. That evening, over roasted pheasant, they established their story. He had noticed her during flower deliveries, had found excuses to be present, had finally approached her in the garden. Why the garden? Seren asked. Because it's private, and you'd be surrounded by flowers. People expect romance. The truth being that your mother ambushed us both. Hardly fairy tale material. He almost smiled. Now, what drew you to me? Your passion for parliamentary reform. You spoke about it once during a delivery. Factory conditions, workers' rights. I found your conviction compelling. Hadrian looked up, surprised. You heard that conversation? I hear many things while arranging flowers. People forget servants exist. You're not a servant. I'm close enough in their eyes. But your reform work is real. It gives our story truth beneath the fiction. He was silent for a long moment. Clever. Use truth to support lies. You're better at this than I expected. After dinner, they moved to the music room for waltz lessons. Despite his claims, Hadrian was an excellent dancer. Don't look at your feet, he instructed, his hand steady at her waist. Look at me. If I look at you, I'll forget the steps. If you look at your feet, everyone will know you've never waltzed. Trust your body to remember. She lifted her gaze to his face. The formal distance between them seemed to shrink. His eyes held hers with unexpected intensity. Better, he said quietly. You're a quick learner. I have to be. When they finally stopped, both breathless, Hadrian regarded her with something that might have been respect. Thursday, the Pemberton Ball. Your debut as my fiancé. I'll be ready. I believe you will. He moved toward the door. For what it's worth, Seren, I no longer think my mother chose poorly. You may actually survive this. Survive? I intend to triumph. His lips curved into a genuine smile. I believe you might. He left her standing in the music room, her heart pounding from more than exertion. This was still a prison, still a performance, but perhaps it might become something almost bearable. The Pemberton Ball arrived with terrifying swiftness. Seren stood before the mirror in her emerald gown, scarcely recognizing herself. Silk cascaded like liquid moonlight. borrowed diamonds sparkled at her throat. "Stunning," the Duchess declared. "Hadrian won't be able to look away." The ballroom blazed with 1,000 candles. Crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light across silk gowns and glittering jewels. Serene felt their eyes the moment she entered on Hadrian's arm. "Steady," he murmured, his hand covering hers. "They're curious, not hostile. Give them nothing to criticize." "Easy for you to say. I was born to responsibility." The performance came later. His grip tightened reassuringly. "You belong here as much as anyone." Through it all, Hadrian remained at her side. When aggressive gossips cornered her, he deflected with smooth authority. When she stumbled over names, he supplied them seamlessly. His presence was steady and surprisingly comforting. She noticed Lady Forsyth watching from across the room, whispering behind her fan to a cluster of companions. Their eyes followed Seren with undisguised malice. "You're good at this," Seren whispered during a brief respite. "Protecting me. You're my fiancé. Protecting you is expected." "Expected by whom?" "Most would enjoy watching the flower girl humiliate herself." "I would fault myself." His voice dropped lower. "And you're not just a flower girl. I thought we'd established that." The orchestra struck up a waltz. Hadrian extended his hand. "Dance with me." With hundreds of eyes upon them, every step carried weight. Seren focused on Hadrian's face, trusting her body. "You're not breathing," he observed. "I'm terrified." "You're magnificent." The word escaped as though against his will. Most women of noble birth couldn't manage half as well. Desperation breeds competence. It's more than that. You have natural grace, things that can't be taught. When the waltz concluded, they stood facing each other, slightly breathless. "We need to be careful," Hadrian said quietly in the carriage ride home. "Careful of forgetting this isn't real." Her heart gave an odd thump. "I'm not confused." "Good. Neither am I." But his tone suggested he was trying to convince himself. 2 months had flown by with surprising swiftness. The rhythm of life at Ashworth Hall became familiar. Breakfasts discussing the morning papers, afternoons reading in the library, evenings at social functions, where they performed with increasing ease. But somewhere along the way, the performance had blurred into something else. Seren noticed it in small moments. Hadrian remembering she preferred honey in her tea, seeking her opinion on parliamentary speeches. Books left on her table with notes tucked inside explaining his choices. She noticed it in herself, the flutter of anticipation at his footsteps, the warmth when he laughed, the way her eyes sought him in every crowded room. One evening, she received a letter from home. Her father had taken a turn for the worse. The doctor was cautiously optimistic, but reading his shaky handwriting, knowing how close she had come to losing him, Seren found herself crying in the library. That was how Hadrian found her. He took one look at her tear-stained face and, without a word, pulled her into his arms. She cried against his shoulder while he held her, one hand stroking her hair, murmuring quiet comfort. He didn't ask questions, didn't demand explanations, simply held her until the storm passed. "Tell me," he said finally. She explained about the letter, about her fear, about the guilt of being here in silk gowns while her father struggled. "You're saving your family," he said quietly. "That's nothing to feel guilty about. I'm lying to everyone." "We're lying to everyone," he corrected. "This was my choice, too. Don't carry that burden alone." The memory of his arms around her, the unexpected gentleness, haunted her for days. One evening, alone in the library, while rain drummed against the windows, Hadrian poured 2 glasses of brandy. "You've been quiet lately. Something wrong?" "I sometimes forget why I'm really here." The admission escaped before she could stop it. "These rooms feel like home. Your face is the one I look for in every crowd. I actually look forward to breakfast with you." "Is that so terrible?" "It's dangerous, because in 1 week this ends, And none of it will have been real. What if it is real? The question dropped into silence like a stone into still water. Hadrian, I know what we agreed, but I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. He moved closer. Tell me you feel nothing. Tell me these months have been nothing but performance. She opened her mouth to lie, to protect them both. She couldn't. I can't tell you that, she whispered. Then don't. His hand came up to cup her face. Just let me hold you tonight. Let me pretend this could be simple. She should have refused. Instead, she leaned into his touch. His arms came around her. She rested her head against his chest, hearing his heartbeat. When she finally pulled away, her eyes were damp. This can't happen, Hadrian. I'm a flower shop girl. You're a duke. The world can go hang. Marrying you would be the first thing I've ever wanted purely for myself. You can't marry me. You deserve someone appropriate. I don't want appropriate. I want you. You want the woman I've been pretending to be. That's not me. The performance is what you show society. What I've seen is you. He searched her face. You argue with me. Challenge my opinions. Make me laugh when I least expect it. That's not performance. She backed toward the door. I need time. When I'm near you, I can't think. Then don't think. Feel. I can't afford to feel. Every time I've let myself feel, I've lost something precious. Her voice cracked. I won't survive losing you, and I would lose you. She fled before he could respond. 3 days later, with only 4 days remaining, disaster struck. The Duchess summoned her urgently. Hadrian handed her a newspaper folded to reveal a society column. The London Whisper speculated openly about the Duke's engagement, about his mysterious fiancée, about rumors she was nothing more than a common tradesperson hired to play a role. Someone has been investigating, the Duchess said grimly, asking questions at flower shops, tracking your deliveries. Who would do this? Lady Forsyth, Hadrian said flatly. She wanted me last season. I rebuffed her. This is revenge. Then we end the engagement now, before the scandal worsens. If you leave now, the Duchess said, Lady Forsyth wins. Your reputation is destroyed, and Hadrian's judgment is questioned. Then what do you suggest? Mother and son exchanged a look. Make it real, the Duchess said. Marry Hadrian. Now. This week. Once you're legally wed, her allegations become irrelevant. You can't be serious. Think about it. A real marriage protects everyone. Lady Forsyth becomes a bitter gossip rather than an investigative genius. And what about the rest of our lives trapped in a marriage neither of us chose? I chose you. Hadrian's voice cut through her panic. 3 days ago I told you what I wanted. That hasn't changed. You said that in the heat of the moment. I love you, Seren Ashwell, not the fiction. You, the stubborn, brave woman who argues about reform and arranges flowers like she's conducting a symphony. Tears burned her eyes. You can't love me. You've known me for 3 months. Long enough to know that watching you walk away would break me. This is madness. Then let's be mad together. He cupped her face, wiping away a tear. Marry me. Not because of schemes or threats. Marry me because when I'm with you, I'm the man I've always wanted to be. I'm not your equal. You have yourself. That's everything. The Duchess cleared her throat. I'll leave you two alone. But Lady Forsyth's next column publishes in 3 days. She departed, leaving them standing in silence. You deserve better, Seren whispered. I deserve you. Stop telling me what I deserve and tell me what you want. She closed her eyes, feeling his breath warm against her face. You, she breathed. I've wanted you for weeks, and it's been agony pretending otherwise. Then stop pretending. Say yes. Yes. The word emerged as a sob. God help me, yes. He kissed her then, deep and desperate and real. She clung to him, letting herself feel everything she'd suppressed. Love, terror, joy. When they broke apart, Hadrian laughed with pure happiness. We're actually doing this. We're completely mad. And I've never been happier. The wedding took place 3 days later in the private chapel at Ashworth Hall, intimate and sacred, witnessed only by family and trusted servants. Seren's father had traveled despite his illness, supported by Felix and Miriam. He wept openly when she walked down the aisle. Hadrian waited at the altar, looking simultaneously terrified and radiant. "You came," he murmured when she reached him. "Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you might come to your senses. Too late for that." She smiled through tears. "I've lost my senses entirely. Fortunately, I've found something better." "What's that?" "You." Vows spoken, rings exchanged, the vicar pronouncing them man and wife. When Hadrian kissed her, something settled into place inside Seren's chest. A piece she hadn't known was missing. Afterward, he drew her aside. "I have something for you." He pressed an envelope into her hands. Inside was a deed. A building on Hartwell Lane, 3 doors from her family's shop. "I don't understand." "It's yours. A second location for your business. Separate from our marriage. Protected by law regardless of what happens between us." "Hadrian, I know why you hesitated to accept me. You feared being dependent on my goodwill. Trapped in a marriage where survival depended on my continued affection." His voice thickened. "I never want you to feel that way. Whatever we build together, you'll always have your own foundation." She stared at the deed, then at this impossible man. "I love you," she whispered, "more than I knew I was capable of loving anyone." "Good, because I intend to spend the rest of my life giving you reasons to keep saying that." That night, reality far exceeded any fiction. Hadrian was tender and passionate, making her feel cherished and utterly safe. Lying tangled together afterward, she traced patterns on his chest. "No regrets?" he asked. "Not one." "You?" "Only that I didn't meet you sooner." 5 years later, the conservatory at Ashworth Hall overflowed with flowers. Seren's arrangements had become famous throughout London. The Ashwell Flower Company now supplied half the noble households in England. "Mama! Look!" Seren turned to find her daughter Ivy racing toward her, dark curls flying. At 4, she possessed her father's gray eyes and her mother's determination. Behind her came Hadrian carrying their 2-year-old son, Rowan. "A butterfly. Papa says they're special." "Adonis blue," Hadrian supplied, extracting a fern from Rowan's grip. "Your mother planted the garden that attracts them." "Did you plant butterflies, Mama?" "I planted flowers that butterflies love. When you create something beautiful, wonderful creatures find their way to you." Ivy considered this. "Like how Papa found you." Hadrian laughed. "Exactly. I found the most beautiful flower in England and was clever enough to never let her go." "That's romantic." Ivy wrinkled her nose. "Also gross." Later, alone in the drawing room, Hadrian settled beside her. "I have news. Lady Forsyth has been exiled to Yorkshire. Her gossip finally targeted the wrong family. I should feel satisfied. But you don't?" "I feel nothing." He turned to look at her. "She doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is standing here, covered in flower petals and baby drool." Seren laughed. "Very romantic." They sat watching their children play among the flowers. "Do you ever think about how this started?" she asked. "That morning I came to deliver flowers?" "Every day. I think about how my mother's scheming led me to the love of my life, how I almost let pride keep me from you. But we didn't miss it." "No." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "And I will never stop being grateful." Ivy returned, holding a slightly battered rose. For you, Mama, because you're beautiful like flowers." Seren took it, tears pricking her eyes. "It's perfect." "Papa helped me pick it." "She wanted to give you the entire bush," Hadrian admitted. "I would have loved that." "I know. That's why I love you." Later, as afternoon light softened to gold, Serene reflected on her impossible journey. She had come to deliver flowers and found everything she never knew she was searching for. A place where she belonged, a family truly hers, a love that grew from the strangest soil. "What are you thinking?" Hadrian asked. "About how the most beautiful arrangements come from unexpected combinations. Wildflowers mixed with hothouse blooms. A metaphor for us? A truth about us." She leaned against his shoulder. "I came here to deliver flowers, and found something I never knew I was searching for. And now? Now I see you more clearly than anything." He gathered her close. "And I intend to spend the rest of my life making sure you know how extraordinary you are." She had come to deliver flowers. She had found her home. The end. Thank you for staying with us until the very end of this beautiful journey. If this story made you laugh, cry, or believe in the magic of unexpected love, please show your support by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing it with fellow romance lovers. Your engagement keeps our storytelling alive and thriving. Stay tuned. Another emotional tale is waiting for you. Click, listen, and let your heart be swept away once more. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being here. Until next time.